If you've noticed your body doing less than it used to, slower to get up, stiffer in the morning, sitting out instead of joining in, I want to walk you through 10 things I've come to believe are true about why that happens and what actually changes it. Some of these might go against what you've been told. The first thing I want you to sit with, most of what people write off as just getting older isn't actually aging. It's underuse. Muscle loss, stiffness, feeling less capable than you used to. A lot of that is driven by years of not using the range you still got, not by some fixed biological clock. That doesn't mean age plays no role. It means there's nothing I can do about this, usually is the wrong belief. Second, most fitness programs weren't designed for someone who spent 20 or 30 years sitting at a desk, driving, staring at a screen. They assume a baseline of movement quality a lot of us don't actually have anymore. So when a generic fitness program doesn't work, people blame themselves, not the program. I've lived this myself, and so have a lot of my clients. Hips, shoulders, posture, all of it gets shaped by sitting like this. Third, you can't fix what you've never actually measured. Most people have a vague sense that something feels off, but they've never had it tested. A real movement screen goes further than most people expect. Balance, strength, mobility, get-up tests, breath work, like how sensitive you are to carbon dioxide, plus other longevity markers. A movement screen makes the invisible visible and is a snapshot in time, just like blood work is. Almost everyone gets blood work done, and blood work shows your risk of disease. A movement screen can show you where your risk of injury is building. That's the whole point. Find out what's actually true about your body before guessing at a fix. Fourth, strength and mobility don't always have to be trained together, and I don't force it. Some clients need pure strength work. Some are tight enough that mobility has to stand on its own first. But when it fits, training them in the same movement, like an isometric front split squat, a walking lunge out to a longer stride, a loaded pullover into an overhead stretch, all those build usable strength and range at the same time, not strength in one drill and flexibility in a completely different one. And that combination is a tool I reach for on purpose, not a rule I run every rep. Fifth, feeling healthy isn't something you can actually train towards because it's not specific enough to hit. What you can train towards are numbers, grip strength, VO2 max, how long can you hold a position under control. Those are concrete and they're trainable, and they're linked to how well people function as they age. I'd rather chase a number I can track and improve than a feeling I can't pin down. Sixth, there's an old proverb about a horseshoe nail. For want of a nail, a shoe was lost. And that one small loss cascades all the way up to losing a battle and a kingdom. Your body runs on the same chain. Ignore a stiff hip long enough, and eventually it's not a hip problem anymore. It's a knee, a back, potentially a surgery. This stuff compounds quietly. Most people don't notice anything's wrong until a health scare, an injury, or a moment that makes it undeniable. But by then, years of quiet decline are already baked in, and the work to reverse it is harder than the work to prevent it would have been. Waiting for the wake-up call is the most expensive way to start. Seventh, I didn't start athletic. I spent 2 decades in IT, sitting a lot, the same as a lot of desk workers. I wasn't putting my health last, I just didn't realize how much damage all that time in the chair was doing until it was already done. Everything I know about mobility and strength, I built. I didn't inherit it. That's a different kind of understanding than a coach who's always moved well and is now just explaining it to you from the outside. Eighth, none of this was ever about how you look. Training for the mirror is the easy part. Anyone can get in shape for a snapshot in time. Building a body that's actually durable, capable, and functions well for the long run, that's the real goal, and it's the harder thing to achieve. It's about staying capable for the specific things in your actual life, like getting on the floor with your grandkids, keeping up on a hike, traveling without your body limiting what you can do, improving your golf game, or pickleball, or even your Ironman time. Train for life, not for looks. That's the whole point. Ninth, you can piece together workouts from videos and articles And some people do just fine that way. But a real system, an actual assessment of where you're starting, programming built around that, and a coach adjusting as you go, gets you there faster and a lot more safely than assembling it yourself from generic content built for nobody in particular. And 10th, when people weigh the cost of doing this properly, I'd ask them to weigh it against two things: the cost of doing nothing and the cost of doing it wrong. Doing nothing costs you time and capability while you wait. Doing it wrong costs you more directly. And I still see this in the gym today. Years of flared elbow push-ups and bench presses quietly wrecking shoulders 1 rep at a time. Inaction and bad form end up in the same place. More pain, more limitation, and a more expensive fix later than if you started it right. When you run the actual numbers on what's already been spent piecing it together, or on what bad form has cost your body, the gap to what a real program costs is usually smaller than people expect, and it keeps growing the longer it's put off. If any of these 10 hit home, here's a question worth sitting with. How confident are you that your body will continue letting you do the things you love 10 or 20 years from now? I built something that takes a couple of minutes, and it helps you actually answer that instead of guessing. It's called the Life Readiness Evaluation. It'll give you a real read on whether you're heading in the right direction. Links in the description. Go take it, and I'll personally show you what I see in your results.